Namaste. Welcome everyone. Thank you for joining today's video where this week I gave an opportunity, a window of a week, to write in and to share their thoughts and feelings at this very challenging time, as you all know, of the spread of COVID-19 throughout the world. And so I felt, with so many people being compelled to be at home, that it arose in my heart to offer a window where some of you could write and express your feelings at this time. Many of the people writing in have been following satsang, but many have not. So today I will read through some letters until I feel we have addressed enough for the day. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, those of you who have written in. Again, thank you to all the helpers and the medical services, the governments around the world who are at full stretch to arrest the spread of this pandemic. We bless and pray that we are getting the upper hand and things will come under control. But I'd also like to point out that there are many wonderful things also happening as a result of this world crisis. That nature is showing very, very positive and immediate signs of recovery from much of the toxic pressures that's been put on the planet. We see very many wonderful signs around us, I have to say. And it should be a marvelous inspiration for us ourselves as human beings to also detox from so much negativity that we have been exposed to over the years in terms of the news and media and negative sort of what we call entertainment and so on. The things that actually are polluting and oppressing the human spirit and distracting it from its natural glow of happiness, real compassion, joy, universal brotherhood, love, peace, and so on. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for your attention. Thank you to those who have written in. I will begin today. Now, we have a good amount of letters that has come. I have not read through them. I will just take them spontaneously as they come. That is just the way that we work here. Thank you so much. Oh. I dedicate this time to truth, to the true virtue of the human being, for the upliftment of the human spirit, for guidance and for inspiration to those who at this time need it most. Thank you. Thank you, Father. Amen. Here we go. Okay. Dear Mooji, what is the spiritual purpose of a virus such as coronavirus, if it has one? Or what can we as human beings learn from it? With love, Santiago. Thank you. A good one to start, no? What is the spiritual purpose of a virus such as coronavirus? What is the purpose? We can speak in terms of purpose, in terms of when we may express our views and opinions about that. I would say what I have seen is that the world is so dispersed in terms of a sense of communal harmony amongst human beings. We are so diverse in our expressions, and we see in many parts of the world that those of us, and I think there are very many millions of beings, intelligent human beings, who look at the various signs of the times and recognize that something is going off and away from what is truthful, what is good, what is positive, what is uplifting, what is inspiring, what is true to ourselves. And I feel that different nations have been dealing with this in their own way. What I feel has happened with this spread of coronavirus, it being a pandemic, which means that it is a worldwide spreading of this virus and therefore of world concern, I don't feel any of us alive now have experienced a time when human beings have had to be focused on one subject in such an intense way. And so many people who are feeling fear, deep concern, and stressed by what is happening, worried for their families. So many people are sick, and they are not allowed the company of their loved ones. There are many of the economy in the countries are basically closed down largely. There's no country flight services. So many things are changed for us in a way that we have never experienced before. And you ask, what is the purpose of such a thing happening? I would say that I can see that when I said that the whole world is at home at the moment. Home for some people is hospital even, but they are confined and restricted in our social movements and social freedom and so on, and are compelled to be at home. I see this at first as deeply challenging for many people who have not had the opportunity to really spend time with their families. Can be one thing you can say about that. To be compelled to spend time in your own company, another rare thing. To feel the impact of the threat of one's mortality, I feel carries also a lot of rich spiritual vitamins, in that we are compelled to look inwards and to reflect about what is life all about, because in such an unexpected way and in such a short space of time, so many people feel that their lives are under threat. And that provokes a very powerful internedness of attention, force us to contemplate what life is about, the trivial pursuits of the human attention seems to lose its vitality, because the attention has to focus on much more important things, much more pressing things. I see that these signs are wonderful signs as opportunities for human beings to reflect more deeply. I feel this is part of the greatness of being a human being, is to reflect on the purpose of our existence, who we are, what is this life about, where are we going, what is the real value of life, and so on. And I feel only by being put in such a constraint, and we know that very often, only when we are in some way restricted or feel under threat or are at the end of or caught in very intense experiencing, does it provoke this kind of introspection. And initially, our minds will go berserk, of course, because we would rather be comfortable, we'd rather look forward to what we're going to be doing tomorrow or tonight, which theater you're going to go, and so on. And so our, I would say, carnal mind is feeling very uncomfortable. It's not able to express the freedom which it uses so badly, I would have to say. We rarely spend time to think about life in a deeper way, although we are all living beings. We rarely reflect on the purpose of our existence. So I feel that all of this compels us to pay attention to what is important to us and important to this planet. So you say, what is the spiritual purpose of a virus such as coronavirus, if it has one? I cannot speak as though coronavirus came here with an intention. It is something that happened. I would regard it more as an act of God, or of the universal consciousness. I feel it is very timely because I feel that the vast majority of human beings don't reflect on the subject of the health of the planet and the health of human beings deeply enough. And right now, I can bet you that such a huge number of human beings of our populations are forced to be thinking about such things. So I feel this is a healthy thing and a step in the right direction. As far as the planet is concerned, I can see that the Earth has also been suffering in a very toxic way from our waste, our dump, and our dumping of, very irresponsibly, of many chemicals and that actually have a very destructive impact on the climate and on human beings. But we are not facing this enough. And look what has happened. I mean, I've seen a chart of many of the comparisons between the emissions of very dangerous gases and chemicals that was happening daily on the planet. We see how many cities and countries were living in smog during summertime and so on. These are not good signs. And I've seen recent pictures of those kind of chemical footprints and so on of those countries, and it's beautiful. The air is clean. I am looking out of my window and I can see that the skies are, today it is a bit cloudy at this moment, but it's a healthy cloud, and silver white light of other clouds, and the earth is very, very healthy at the moment. The plants, the flowers are out. It's springtime here in Europe. There's flowers all over the place, the smell of flowers. The animals look very healthy. Rivers that were polluted, dolphins are showing up in there. The air does not carry any toxic smell, and all the things that we are becoming almost common everyday occurrences are rare at this moment. So there are some very, very good signs that the earth, Mother Earth, is detoxing at the moment and wonderfully responsive to being given a break from our human indulgences. So I feel that's a very, very good thing. And I hope us human beings will continue to detox mentally, emotionally, physically also. Of course, the picture is not a bed of roses. There are many things of growing concern also. There's particularly an issue that touches me at the moment, is that with so many places closed down, so many poor people are coming to a point where you can call almost near to starving and so on. We have to address these things. And but generally crime rate is down, but it could be going up again if people are forced to have to do things to eat and to feed their families. We don't know. My prayer is that all the governments and those services, charities around the world, come together to ensure that as much as possible we serve those who need it. Also, not just those who have the virus at the moment, but people who are without food and without other necessary things for human life to at least go on. We're not talking even about flourishing, you see. So there's plenty there. This is my first letter, and it's a short one. You can see just a few words there, but I felt in it, you have said, and you have really struck deeply enough to provoke this type of response from me. You continue, or what can we as human beings learn from it? Well, I think I've just been talking about that. We have a lot to learn, and it shows that we are learning. And you know what? This is not luxury learning. This is not luxury learning. This is sometimes things are happening in such a powerful way that there's not even time to study or to learn in the classical way, but it's just time that we just get changed. We are instantly changing. in a way that is matching the needs of the moment. So let's be positive about it also, without being, fluffily over optimistic. But I don't think we have to drop down into the hole of fear and the deep stress that mostly come from the mind. It's not coming from the earth. It's not coming from around you. It's really coming from our minds. So that is something you can also add to the opportunity for learning, is to watch how the mind has a negative inclination also to exaggerate. And there are also people who enjoy, news and to worry other people and so on. Now, I admit there is a time for concern, but of worry, I don't think that we should worry. Of myself, I say that our communities around the world are being encouraged always to those who show an interest in self-discovery are discovering at a deeper level of their own being something very, very wonderful that removes this old grime of fear and stress and worry. And there is a natural confidence inside that whatever happens, it will be fine. I once said not so long ago, we only live once, but that is forever. And I feel that is a very appropriate thing to say right now, that the bodies change, people leave their bodies, but their spirit cannot die. Maybe you're not ready to hear that, but it is something that you will hear another time if you're not ready for this, and it will bring you great joy and peace. So thank you, Santiago, for a great opening letter. Thank you very much. All the very best to you and those wherever you are. Thank you. God bless you. Next one. Let's see now. Okay. Dearest Mooji, my mother passed away last night in a hospice home. She was alone. We couldn't visit because of the outbreak of the virus. Because of you, I know she wasn't really alone. God was leaving the physical form. Please pray for my sisters and myself, and also my 86-year-old father, who cannot leave the island of Jamaica at this crucial time. My private name for you is Modern Day Christ. You helped me in understanding the attacks on the mind, especially watching satsangs on YouTube every day and every night. Much love, Florette. And we have a nice picture of you, Florette. Thank you for this letter. As you know, I will read through the letters, and then, because I'm reading them for the first time, I can then go back over and make comments where I feel the need to. So we start again. My mother passed away last night in an hospice home. God bless her soul. She was alone. We could not visit because of the outbreak of the virus. This is everywhere. We are coming to that. And it's a very, very challenging, because we often hope or take it for granted that when our loved ones are passing, particularly if they've been sick for a while, they will have their family around and so on like this, unless they may have an accident somewhere away from home. So this is one of the things that has been quite testing and challenging for many people, is that maybe their loved ones may pass away by themselves alone. Now, you say, because of you, I know she wasn't really alone. And I'm very happy that you picked up on that. You say, God was leaving the physical form. Now, that may sound a bit of a strong way of putting it. Yes, but what he means, or Florette means, is that one's true nature, one's spirit cannot die. Life cannot die. Death cannot live. So life will leave the dying body, okay? And that life, which is eternal, timeless, and pure, that is the God Spirit within each one of us, okay? So Florette writes, God was leaving the physical form. Please pray for my sisters and myself. My will for you and prayers for you is that you continue to grow internally from this intense experience and the experiences that life bring you. As I have said before, that the wise person builds a house with the very stones that their enemies throw at them and lives happily in this house. What I mean by that is that a wise person learns and grows powerfully from hardship, from difficult moments, from trying times, from even the abuse of people, from the judgment of others. They don't just react, but they contemplate. They find the gems inside the plain and ordinary stone. They find what is beautiful in that, and they are nourished in their spirit by that discovery, and they grow in wisdom. So I am very glad that I have someone here who is showing that, they have really heard this message in the deepest way. Please pray for my sisters and myself, and also my 86-year-old father who cannot leave the island of Jamaica at this crucial time. So here again, we can understand that there are some people, we have a very high veneration for the sense of our individual private freedom. But this particular situation that is affecting everyone, okay, means that you are compelled to be in quarantine or limited, because it doesn't matter how much money you have, you cannot just hire a plane and go somewhere else. So these kind of restrictions, which our minds rebel against, we don't like it. I want to be free to do what I want. But I want you to change your outlook and see that from the very restrictions that you are experiencing right now, can, if and when your attitude is right and open, change your attitude from rebelliousness to humility. And you'll begin to see that there are wonderful, rich spiritual vitamins coming from your situations also. You are going to grow powerfully from this. So don't be so frustrated, because the mind tends to jump towards frustration and judgments and fears and boredom so quickly. But as you begin or continue to observe these behaviors that come from the mind and through your feelings, without identifying with them too quickly or personally, you will feel that a space opens up between the functioning mind and its behavior and you, your true self, who is observing these things. Now that is a very powerful change in the way that we perceive, and gives great strength, integrity, power, distance, and in fact it matures our powers of discerning good from bad, right from wrong. So I don't want you to miss the opportunity that comes when in trying times, okay? Don't waste it on just feeling sorry for ourselves and grieving our losses. There is time for grief, and this will come. But be encouraged that a great strength is going to emerge from you, your family, your loved ones, from your village, from your town, from your cities, from your country, in this world. And I hope and pray that as a result of what is taking place now, the world will become a better place for all, because the world is not great for everybody. It is great for some, okay for many, so-so for a huge number, and even horrible for a very large number of people. I hope that these situations, these times will help us to be much more broad in our compassion, in our understanding, in our care and kindness towards, because everyone is touched by this. Nobody's so great and nobody's so low. Nobody's above and nobody's below. We are touched by a common concern. And I pray that the human spirit will expand in the most beautiful way out of these challenges today. My private name for you is Modern Day Christ. Okay. You helped me in understanding the attacks on the mind, especially watching satsang on YouTube every day, every night. Much love, Florette. Yes. You see, I can speak to you. Maybe some years ago I would not be able to speak to you like this. But you know, many of you may be new to watching this type of talk. And I would say that these letters are coming clearly from people who have a deeper interest in inner growth, not just outer growth, but inner growth. And that growth means to grow in terms of your wisdom, in terms of your understanding life at a deeper level of your consciousness, of knowing yourself more and more, not as the object that the body is, thank God for the body and the senses, but you are not merely your body, okay? And of coming to the discovery that you are the immortal spirit in it, that what dies is only what is not true, and that we continue to expand, not just in our physical life, but in our spiritual life. Thank you for this lovely letter, Florette. Bless you, love you, all the very best to you, and bless Mother, bless Father also. Thank you. Namaste, beloved Master. Thank you for the wonder of your being. I don't want to talk about my life story. That is a fiction. Where have I ever heard that? Who speaks like that? I don't want to talk about my personal life story. That is a fiction. I want to continue. I just feel the urge to speak about the actual situation we are living. I live near Bergamo. The focus of coronavirus infection in Italy. A lot of the members of my family and I contracted the virus, and my uncle, who is like a father to me, suddenly died in hospital from virus complications a few days ago. God bless his soul. I deeply feel inside my heart that this period of suffering and fear is a huge gift that the grace is presenting me. Beloved ones, I'd like that you really pay attention. This is a very unusual letter. Many emails that we get and send between each other doesn't have this quality of inwardness and wisdom. I'm going to go straight to the bottom. This letter is written by Francesca from Italy. Again, I'm going to read what she's just written. I deeply feel inside my heart that this period of suffering and fear is a huge gift that the grace is presenting me. I am afraid to waste this important and holy opportunity. Who speaks like that? A wise person. I will continue. My only true wish is to become nothing. These are words that are not going to be easily grasped by many people. What are you talking about, to become nothing? That's when you are dead. We don't want to be dead. But the nothing that you are speaking about, let me read on, let me hear your own words. My only true wish is to become nothing, to dissolve and disappear now in the isness, my real nature. Again, my only true wish is to become no thing. Nothing means no thing. To dissolve and disappear, or rather to return now, in this isness, meaning that which truly exists. My wish, not my fear, is to return to no thing, to dissolve and disappear in the isness, which is that which exists alone, timelessly, eternally, if you like. My real nature. So Francesca must have tasted that real nature to be able to say such words, because the common man on the street won't say something like this. Nobody is, what I would say, conditioned to be attracted to nothing. We want to be the best something. We think we are a thing, and we want other things, the best of things. But Francesca rarely speaks, and she says, I want to return to no thing, the nothingness, my real nature, which is that which exists. I do not want to lose time again, and I ask you to help me not to come into shape anymore. I suspect you can hear the rain. The rain is coming down at the moment. Fresh rain from the skies is coming down, and it is just hitting on the zinc roof of my hut. So I don't know if you can hear that. I'm just going to get the window closed. Thank you. I do not want to lose time again, and I ask you to help me not to come into shape anymore. I want to die now. Now, don't be alarmed at these words. When I explain to you what this really means, you will see. I do not want to lose time again, and I ask you to help me not to come into shape anymore. What is shape? Well, actually, spirit has no shape. It is like water. Water does not have a particular shape. Its nature is simply to flow and to be. If I put water into something which has a shape, like this glass, the water will take the shape of the glass. But you cannot say the water is the shape of the glass. You see? Also, consciousness, what we really are, consciousness and spirit are not different. Consciousness, likewise, has no shape, but it will take any shape, the shape of any concept or anything that you believe in. It will temporarily assume that shape, and so we believe we are the body. That is our shape, and so our belief take the shape of the body. I am the body. Francesca knows different. She knows more. She says, whenever I identify myself merely as my body and not my spirit, not my being, I am wasting time, because my mind grows very strong and I'm behaving as though I am merely an object. I am much more than the object. I am the subject itself. And the subject, the true subject, is not a thing. It is the spirit, the true being, the heavenly being in my heart. I want to die now. What does it mean, I want to die now? I want to die to all that is false. I want to die to the unreal, because for much of my life, I have been cherishing concepts which are not truth. I have been holding on to ideas which has not served my being. I've believed and indulged in many things that made me unhappy and made me suffer. I have had enough. I want to die now to those lies. Because truth cannot die and death cannot live. So this is the importance of what Francesca is speaking. Thank you, thank you, thank you. With love and gratitude, Francesca. The very words, thank you, thank you, thank you, puts what she's said previously into context. How would somebody say, I want to die now, and saying thank you? No, she means thank you that I can really live the truth of who I am. So many spiritual people, spiritual-minded people, understand this language. This is not suicidal mentality. At least it may be, if it's suicide on one's ego. This is not a suicide message. This is a message of wisdom. This is an outpouring of one's real depth of being and experience and maturity. What she has seen that would cause many people to feel at the end of the rope, she has drawn inspiration from that. She's used this to see, I don't want to spend the rest of my life wasting the time that God has given me as an opportunity to grow and to mature into the truth of who I am. So I'm going to put this, that this is a very wise letter from a very wise being, human being. And I hope that her words inspire you and inspire all of us. God bless you, Francesca. I hope to meet you one time again. All my love to you and your family. Thank you. Thank you. Next. Dear Mooji, my name is Mirabai, and I am a student of yours since May of last year via YouTube. I found you on YouTube while suffering from severe neck pain and could not sleep at night or daytime, and listening to you was comforting and helped me grow spiritually. Thank you. Mirabai, thank you. You continue. I just found out 2 days ago that my beloved sister, Mina, and her husband, Sia, died from COVID-19 in Istanbul, Turkey. My heart is very broken, and I want to ask you to help me and them to transition and for me to get through this with grace. I am so sad that they died in isolation with nobody holding their hands and no proper burial. How can I accept this and move forward? Love and gratitude. Mirabai, Atlanta, GA. Okay. Not a very strong letter. I reread. My name is Mirabai, and I'm a student of yours since May of last year via YouTube. Almost a year now. I found you on YouTube while suffering from severe neck pain and could not sleep at night or daytime, And listening to you was comforting and helped me to grow spiritually. Thank you. I just found out 2 days ago that my beloved sister Mina and her husband Sia died from COVID-19 in Istanbul, Turkey. God bless their souls. My heart is very broken, understandably, and I want to ask you to help me and them to transition and for me to get through this with grace. I'll reread this sentence, it's important. My heart is very broken. Yes. It is totally understandable. My heart is with yours. My heart is very broken, and I want to ask you to help me and them. And them. You've just said that they've passed away. So you show your spiritual maturity by saying to help myself and them to transition, meaning to cross over in the positive way, to cross over to what is the next chapter, and for me to get through this with grace. Mirabai, this time we are all compelled to live with open eyes and to have to accept. And by accepting, I don't mean, yes, so of course some people say, I do not accept this, I cannot accept this. Well, you cannot change the fact that they're no longer in the body and accessible to you in the way that you would ordinarily be able to spend time with them. They have transitioned to a higher realm of consciousness. Okay? So they are not suffering in a COVID-19 riddled body. They are not. They have transitioned already. Okay? Meaning that they have moved into the next phase of their existence. Remember, I told you, you only live once, but it is eternal. It is forever. Okay? Now, how to get through this with grace is to accept that. There are many times in life that we have to accept things that in our mind feels unacceptable. But be wise. Accept it does not mean to push it away. It means to face it, that this thing has taken place now. They are not suffering anymore. This is happening all over the world, and it's a crisis for many people. Many people are sharing similar feelings at this moment, but you are a child of God. In your consciousness, you are aware of this. And it has been written, not one single hair falls from your head without the will of God. So you may ask, but did God will that my sister and her husband should die now? It is their time. Don't try to go too deeply into this. When it's time for people to go, don't feel, oh, they went too early, or why do they have to go so early? They go, each one, we don't know the destiny and the moment when each one will have to leave their mortal frame. So it is a very strong time like this, and we must feel for each other what this feels like. Some of us also who are living now may also not survive. These are strong words to say, but they are truth. But I will say still, it's not all doom and gloom. Death, actually I said once that death is one of God's great ideas, because it so terrifies the living beings when we are ignorant of the truth, that it compels us to search for that which transcends death, and that is one's spiritual realization, one's spiritual nature. So I am very much with you. I think very, very many people, hundreds and hundreds, thousands, resonate with your emotion, your feeling, your loss, your broken heart at this moment. But take a breath and thank God. Father, you know all things more than any human being can know. And we leave this in your hands, and we trust that all things are well in your kingdom. Thank you. Like this. I am so sad that they died in isolation with nobody holding their hands and no proper burial. That's another very strong thing. Again, it is based upon our last wishes for many people. If I'm going to leave my body, I want to be surrounded by my family and friends, my loved ones. Okay? In the Avaduta Gita, one of the holy scriptures of India, it says that wherever a righteous person, a yogi, may die or leave their body, wherever they may leave their body, their spirit, it goes into a righteous place. They are in righteousness. They never die in the way that people think. Death is passing through a portal. What is on the other side of that is God's present for you. Okay? All I can say to you, each of you, live wisely, live compassionately, live with love in your heart, and don't worry. Let life take care of life. Sometimes life taking care of life includes the dying of the body, the moving on to the next stage. We are ill-informed about death and about life. We know very little about it. Nobody talks about it. It's almost a taboo. But in some cultures, we talk about it. We get familiar with it. We get very familiar with and friendly with death. The idea, some people look forward to it also. So don't worry that, okay, nobody was there to hold their hands. You don't know what was the state of their mind, even if they leave in an earthly way alone. An angel of God, someone will come to greet them in the spirit. Don't worry about it. Okay? That is much as I can tell you right now. How can I accept this and move forward? Just by following what I've shared with you. To move forward, I rather say move inward. From going outward, go heartward. Go inward. How can I accept this and move forward? You can. You have shown by what you have written that you have the necessary wisdom to face these things, however strong they are, and I can see they are very strong. But they are very strong, and I want to remind you, you have greater strength than you know. Face this moment. Face this moment. Be true. Keep listening to the words and the teachings that inspire your heart, that removes ignorance from you, and you will find that in the right moment, you will find that you come to terms with this, and that you will grow powerfully in the spirit because of the experiences that you are feeling so strongly at the moment. God bless you, my dear Mirabai, and your family. All love to you. Bless you, bless you, bless you. God is with you. God is with them. Bless your sister Mina and her husband Sia. God bless you. Amen. Thank you. These are very strong letters, and I opened up this possibility that people could write. I'm sure for each letter I've written, there are thousands of people who have similar experiences and sentiments and feelings and concerns and fears. So I hope that by reading these letters will help to give you some solace. Next one reads, Beloved Mooji Baba, thank you for taking questions during these tumultuous times. An area that has been uncertain for some time has to do with life taking care of life. When a situation presents itself and appears to pull hard on the doer, the sense that I am the one who does things. So when a situation presents itself and appears to pull hard on the doer because of a perception of grave importance for the matter to find resolve. How does this happen while staying free of personal intervention? The words may seem a little bit complicated, but I see if I can simplify them. When a situation comes, let's put it like that, or appears, and pull hard on the door, meaning that the sense that I am the one doing something is really strong in this moment because of a perception of great importance for the matter to find resolve. So you have a situation that right now feels like it's quite challenging. When such a situation happens, and it feels very hard for myself who wants to do something about it because of the importance to resolve the situation, how does this happen while staying free of personal intervention? So how can any personal situation going to resolve itself and come to a place of a balance, resolve, harmony, if I don't get personally involved? How do I resolve something? It's a good question. Very often, we feel that by being so deeply and personally involved, first thing, this is based upon a strong conviction that we are this person, personhood. I am this person. But I want to tell you that a person is a kind of construct, a mode of consciousness, a belief. It's not really what you are. This may sound surprising thing to say, but the personality is not what you are. Your personality is always changing, always changing. You know that. You've tried many versions to be different kind of ways, but they always change, they keep changing. Something in you is aware of the varying changes, the various changes that you have gone through through your life, the different ways of being, the different things you've tried, and so on. Something is aware of that, but it itself seems more stable. It is also growing. This thing which is aware is also growing from the experiences, you know. This thing which is also growing is, I would say, not your ultimate truth yet. It's not your ultimate self. But it is what I would say your sense of being, your experience as consciousness is growing, becoming much more refined, much more spiritually mature, you may say like that, okay? The more you discover this, because I feel that we are taking life too personally. We are living far too personal. And the person is a quality of being that is quite complex, quite insecure. Person and ego, they are very closely twinned. When the consciousness identifies with the instrument, this may sound a little bit complicated, but please bear with me and listen again if you need to. The consciousness, the sense, I am. The untaught way that you are convinced that you are. I am. This I that am, this I that exists, is really consciousness. It's really spirit that really exists. Okay? So the sense I am, it's actually got a very strong godly connection there, I am. But as soon as it enters the body, which it needs in order to taste experiencing through the senses and the mind, it quickly gets identified with the body and the conditioning or programming that happens to it through the mind, and then believes, I am the body, I am the doer of my actions and the thinker of my thoughts. But this is only a belief. It is not really an entity, but it is believed into existence by the power of habit. We believe that we are this person. I am this person. And it's going to take some of you quite a stretch to really grasp what I'm saying. But as you get a bit more interested and are guided to listen to the kind of teachers that are alive on the earth now and those before, they will be guiding you to this understanding more and more, or you can listen to me more about these things. You will begin to not just develop your mind in terms of what I call informational knowledge, but you'll be deepening in experiential discovery. And as you experience, and it's not complex or difficult, the difficulty is always from the mind, not from the spirit, not from yourself. It's very simple here. Here is simple. Here tends to be more complex. As you are discovering your reality here, things begin to make increasing sense to you. Not in a kind of mental way, but in a very intuitive way, in a very heartfelt way. Okay? I'm going to see if I come back to this question now. Gary is asking here, how can, when things are very challenging and need to be sorted out, and he's heard me say, life takes care of life. But you will only notice this when you become quiet, earnest, and patient enough, slow down enough to recognize this through your own experience. Mostly, we are living life at a very fast pace. Mostly, we are in a hurry. And when we are hurry, we are moving in life in a very premature haste. And so you don't know how things are going to turn out. You assume, because something ticking in your head says, I better make use of my opportunity right now, or else I'm going to miss my chance. But I want to tell you that that voice is not true. It is more the voice of business and people who get sick very quickly also, because it's not the correct way to live. Patience is very important, and recognize that there are many things that take their time from your way of looking, take time to heal, to show their beauty. Things take time in God's timing, just like a flower starts as a bud and slowly opens until its full beauty is revealed. Sometimes in life we must be patient and trusting. These are qualities that we will develop more. As you become more trusting, you will find indeed that my words are true, that life takes care of life, in the sense that what is destined to happen, will unfold. What is not destined to happen will not happen. It's going to take some amount of patience and meditation to really hear this deeply, but it will come if you are earnest. I will continue because the letter goes on. The next paragraph goes, the following quotes seem to point to this question generally, but when mind gets agitated from a perception of weight as in weight, or importance, what to do? Pray for God's outcome, His will, how to stay free of identity involvement. I can see from your style of writing that you think a lot and maybe think too much. Try to figure things too much out with your mind. And this way of thinking is a problem-producing thinking. Okay? I read again because I need to. The following quotes seem to point to this question generally, but when mind gets agitated from a perception of weight or importance, meaning when the mind gets troubled by the things it has to work out or presented to it, what to do? Should I pray for God's outcome, His will? Well, from the way that you speak, I would really have to encourage you to trust first maybe in my words. If you feel genuinely to pray, don't just pray mechanically, because no one can impress or deceive God. If you are going to pray, then you really must pray from your heart. And it doesn't have to be complicated. You can speak like a child. You can say, please, I feel lost. I don't know what to do. Please help me. Show me that you exist. Please help me. And it will come something for you. Okay? So, but don't just use those words emptily. You're saying, when mind gets agitated from the weight of things that seem important, what should I do? Should I wait for God's will to happen? Well, those who trust in the supreme consciousness, the supreme Lord of the universe, those who trust, they don't panic and they don't fear, they don't act in haste. They know that if an answer is to come, they will know it intuitively in some way. They will just recognize it. It will come in the form of a clear mind thinking, or some urge, or a voice will tell you something like that. Okay? It can even come from somebody outside, may come to you and tell you something, but it resonates and you find that direction comes for you to act. Okay? How to stay free of identity involvement. Personal identity rarely solves things. To really solve things in the highest way, you have to become less personal. The more personal you take life, the more complex it can become, because your emotion, your tendency, your character, your attachments, your desires, all these things come to distort your perception and really comes out with the best result. Some result will come, but the best result, you have to step out of your own way. And by saying that, I mean not force your mind to take some shape. A little patience is necessary also. Now, Ramana, a great sage from the south of India, says, the word surrender is used where there is a duality between me and God. When this surrender happens, this will, which we think as being our will, drops away, and there is total acceptance that all that prevails is His will. It is impossible for the human intellect to understand the workings of the universe. Okay? So I'm just going to go over this part. Gary is quoting the words of a great spiritual master who said, the word surrender is used where there is a duality between me and God. So, first thing I want to tell you, where we know that God is infinite and all-pervading. So, if I pray, how far away from my lips and my words is God to hear my prayers if He's everywhere? Do I have to shout? If I whisper, oh God, please come and help me. Is that soft enough? What about if I just say it in my mind? Can He hear my mind? Can He read my mind? Well, yes. What God hears is your sincerity. He responds to your sincerity. Okay? But here Sri Ramana Maharishi is saying, when we use the word surrender, it implies a duality between you and God. That means that you believe very strongly in your own independent existence, and that God is apart from you somewhere in heaven or somewhere like this. I know God to be everywhere. God, if God was only in heaven and heaven is somewhere above, then God is not infinite, meaning that God is not here on earth also. I don't agree. God is right here also, and in your own heart. When this surrender, Sri Ramana says, when this surrender happens, when you really surrender, if you feel a very strong sense of individuality, and if you do, let's accept that you're speaking from the place of individuality, it's perfectly fine. When you surrender to God, your own will, which you believe is yours, okay, it will fall away because you have handed it over to the Supreme. And there is total acceptance that all that prevails is His will. Once your private will, and very few people, many religious people, they know these words very well that I'm speaking now. Okay, whether you're Christian or Muslim or Hindu or whatever it is, when you pray like this, if you have offered up, if you surrender, means you give up your will. I want to do, I want to go, I think, I have, and so on. If you surrender this I, who wants or does, surrender its autonomy to the higher power, then the sense of your own will, your own independent autonomy will fall away. That's not a bad thing. That is a great thing. But it takes a certain maturity to reach that level of conviction and faith. Your own private will fall away, and you'll come to see whatever happens is God's will. That is great faith. That is not blind faith. It is great faith, enormous intelligence, and great sense of righteousness. Then the world cannot stand against you if that is what you really have done. Because I remember one story, somebody came to the said Sri Ramana Maharishi, and they said, Sri Ramana, your teachings, I struggle a little bit. I find that surrender is more my path. I find surrendering more easy for me than self-inquiry. Okay? The master said to him, for surrender to be totally successful, you must surrender the surrenderer also. So what the sage was saying is that you're surrendering, I surrender my riches, I surrender my faith, I surrender my body, I surrender my belongings, I surrender my family, I surrender my knowledge. The master says, yes, don't forget to surrender yourself, the one who is surrendering also. Okay? When we have really done that, your life will reveal within yourself that your surrender has been accepted and that now your mind is at calm. Whatever happens, you see it is the will of God. Now, someone who has strong ego is very much afraid of surrendering to God. They feel that they're giving up their right and their power. They don't realize that they're just giving up their strife. So one whose way naturally leans towards surrender is going to experience a tremendous freedom. They come to accept and know and experience that everything that happens in the world, it's God's play. God knows about it. It finishes the quotation, it is impossible for the human intellect to understand the workings of the universe. Some people sit and they talk and they tell you all about the universe and so on and so on and so. But they speak only from their human intelligence, which is not that great. They may call themselves, experts and so on, but they don't have any spirit power. They don't really have any power. And those that really have developed in power and the authority of the Spirit, they know that these people, don't worry about them. No big deal. They're not speaking the truth. They're speaking only human knowledge. But those who trust in God gets gets plugged into the powerhouse. And when they speak, when they act, they have the authority and the presence and the power of God with them. Thank you for your kindness in these times. With love, Gary Stoke. Gary Stoke. Thank you very much, Gary. Thank you. All the very best to you. I hope those responses from me has helped to clarify some things for you. I'll take a short break now for a moment and I come back.